Hello everyone, my name is Bindu Maira and I've been a healer and life coach for the last 18 years. Tarot is magical. It's mystical. Join me on a 7-day journey where I'm going to take you through some of this magic and mystique of the cards.
So welcome back to the 4th day of our 7-day transformational journey with tarot cards. In these 7 days, not only are we demystifying the cards a little bit, talking about the science behind them, but primarily also using them as a transformational tool to bring home to us certain truths and the wisdom of the ages, messages from spirit, to help us grow, to help us connect with our deeper inner self, with our inner voice. So before I actually begin to talk a little bit about the cards, and then we will get to doing a few readings, I'll answer some questions at the end of it. I'd like to begin by talking to you a little bit about what I see as the USP of the cards. It's really this aspect that I'm going to talk to you about, which makes tarot as wonderful as it does. And this makes a good reading an absolutely amazing, insightful experience, which can end up really, really helpful and enable you and empower you in different ways. It brings clarity, it brings empowerment, and by bringing certain things which are very often hidden from one's obvious view to the surface, you're able then to understand situations, etc. better. And it enables you then to take the right decisions, to move forward in the best way possible. In the 18 years that I've been doing cards, and I have to say this, I realized this really early enough, that basically what everyone who comes in for a reading comes in for is really to get clarity about situations, about relationships. In fact, I often joke and say I think 11 out of 10 readings I do are about relationships, because finally that's what really moves our world. And they come in for clarity about situations, about events, about people, trying to understand people better, trying to understand themselves better. Very often they themselves don't even know what's making them tick. And through a tarot card reading, they end up getting so much clarity, and this then enables them to take better informed decisions. And I've actually been saying this for a very long time, that if somebody gets up from my table with a sense of clarity and a sense of empowerment, tarot's pretty much done its work. Because as I keep repeating, the future is not a fixed thing. If every last thing in our lives was preordained and everything was meant to just click into place and happen, our entire journey in life, our entire effort, everything we're involved with would somewhere become redundant. It would take away the meaning of our lives. So really, to understand these things that are the energies that are operating beneath the surface, I have to say this is absolutely nothing better than tarot to do this. Because the cards being what they are able to show you unseen influences, patterns of behavior, challenges, strengths, and strengths in situations, strengths in people. And some of the greatest benefits of tarot lie in its ability to actually highlight the psychology behind events, people, situations, to actually reveal someone's motive, to figure out why is someone being the way they are, what is it that's really operating, the currents beneath the obvious. And all these there actually reveal someone's motive. So you can basically actually get into someone's head. How is someone feeling? What are someone's strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are their core inner drivers? What are they really like as a person? And you can do all this through the cards. You can know what they're thinking. You can know what they're feeling and why. And when all this happens, it then enables them to understand themselves better and those around them, and to help them finally make the decisions that may have been difficult up to now. Because very simple, when you understand someone a little clearer, when you understand a situation better, it's easier to decide what to do and how to be. So tarot is a predictive tool that is capable of pinpointing events and situations with a astonishing subtlety and accuracy. And so in the doing of this, it's able to actually give you suggested actions to take and likely outcomes if you take those actions. So the whole idea really of dealing with the future, and no matter how we do it, is really to see the trend your life is taking before it actually manifests in real-time form. So if you know beforehand that things are going north or they're going south, you can then actually intercede and cause significant changes for yourself, because tarot actually offers you an excellent way to visualize your future in order to plan it, possibly rearrange it, and work towards its perfection. Tarot helps you discover which universal laws and principles are at work, what is working for you, what is not working for you. And through the doing of this, it actually provides guidelines for harmonizing one's thoughts, words, and actions with the cosmic order by revealing maybe previously undisclosed options, or it helps you confirm the wisdom that each of us may already know to be true. What you're already sensing, what you're already feeling. So tarot, more than anything, really is a pathfinder. It's a pathfinder when you're lost, when you're confused, when you're disheartened. It is a counselor. It is a guide. It is a therapist. And I have to say this, even when I do my healing sessions with people, when they come in for that, ever so often I use the cards to help guide me in terms of understanding what really is the core issue that I'm dealing with. What is it that really needs to be healed? So, and I have to say this, the cards have proven to me time and time again that they can absolutely be one's best friend. Because I will repeat what I keep saying, there is no absolute destiny. There is only cause and effect. And when you change the cause, you change the effect. We are not puppets in the hands of some god who's, just pulling strings and making things happen. We are souls sent down by the same God to learn and to grow in wisdom and light through our different experiences that we have here on earth and the conscious choices that we make, and then basically to just shine our light on the world. That's really what we're doing here. And each of us plays our role in the wheel of life that turns the universe. And if you change the cause, you change the effect. And when you are forewarned, you can actually take certain steps to change certain things. And tarot primarily helps you discover the secrets that then enlighten your path. So it's really quite beautiful. The psychology is, the way I see it, the USP really of the cards. So now let's talk a little bit about a few cards and learn through them. And then I'll do a few questions for you. So we come now to what is very much a karmic card. This is the card of justice. It has to do with Libra. Primarily, it's a card of harmony. Now, when you look at this, what's happening here? There's a woman sitting on this throne, holding a sword aloft, and the sword is double-edged. So this is a card of karma, and this is divine justice as opposed to human justice. Human justice can make mistakes. Divine justice never makes a mistake. It is strictly impartial, sees clearly, and doesn't miss a thing. Truth prevails at the highest level, at the deepest level, at the most, the micro atom level. I don't know how else to put it. Every action, every thought, every emotion has an equal and opposite reaction. And actions can destroy as well as build. So divine justice is not blindfolded. The sword is double-edged. It is double-edged because it cuts with clarity, it cuts with force, it cuts with severity. And this sword is an emblem of action. It points straight upwards, indicating both resolve and the idea that wisdom is like a sword, piercing through the illusion of events to find their inner meaning. And it's a double-edged sword, also signifying that finally everything is about choice. So life requires us to make decisions, and each decision, once made, cannot be revoked. It becomes a part of us, and we are formed by the actions we have taken in the past. We form our future ourselves by the actions we take now. So every last thing that's happening in your life at this moment, happy or not, successful or not, I mean, I could go on and on. It's the fruit of your past actions, emotions, attitude, approach, at some point of time. See, there are times in one's life where you may find things are flowing really smooth, and occasionally we even end up wondering, how come? Sometimes, what did I do to deserve this? And it feels great. And there are times when we seem to be battering our heads against a wall and nothing is giving. Nothing is giving. And you wonder why. And you end up saying, why me? Why is this happening to me? Now, what we need to understand is that you never wake up one fine morning to see a fully grown tree outside your window. At some point of time, that seed was planted. It's been watered. It's been nurtured. It has taken its time to grow, grown into a full tree, and then it bears fruit. So when this card comes up, this card of justice, it's a karmic card. It's a time basically when the fruits of your past efforts or lack of are making their presence known, are making their presence felt in your life. This is a card of accountability. It sounds very serious, but it doesn't always work like that. So, but we do need to be aware that we are accountable for every single thought, every single emotion, every single action, because everything is cause and effect. There's a divine balance, and life is ultimately fair, even if we often in our lives don't think so. The learning, responsibility, accountability, that's what the learning of this card is, to help us understand. It's a card saying stand up for what you believe in. And very importantly, create a balance in your life. Don't allow one area or one aspect of your life to completely take over, because life finally is a balance of all things. As I said, it's a card primarily about balance, about harmony, and about playing fair, being fair to yourself by standing up for what you believe in, and being fair to others around you, to situations, to people, and always, always be cognizant of this. So don't allow one area of your life to become the overriding thing, and be fair to all around you. By simply accepting responsibility for ourselves, what happens is we end up freeing ourselves from the past. And by becoming conscious of our past, we get loose from it. Instead of repeating patterns, and you know, patterns can repeat lifetime after lifetime. These things come up as opportunities for soul growth. And it's never about sidestepping them. It's about, in fact, one always says this, go into your fears. Our fears are where we hold a lot of our karmic imprints, but I'll talk at length about that with another card later. These repeat, and patterns will repeat till the lesson is learned, till the soul, the word I always like to use is when we transcend that learning. So then repeating patterns, past behaviors, and this is a card telling you it's time to be just completely honest with yourself. You need to square up with yourself. And you know, in life, finally, that is what it's about. If you square up with yourself, you will end up squaring up with the world. It's when we hide things from ourselves, when we're not willing to see the truth, when we function behind a veil out of convenience or whatever, is when we end up actually creating more karma in our lives. And please do understand, no one and nothing does anything to you. Anything that happens in your life, you have co-created at some point. And karma doesn't always work chronologically. It's not like, you know, I did this yesterday, so today things should be like this. There's a mesh, there's a web of energy around one, and at different points, different things come up for clearing, come up for working through. So all your past actions, motives, and behaviors at some point of time in the past, have shifted energies at the quantum level to create to create the synchronistic moments now. We have played our part in creating every single aspect of our present, and our present thoughts, actions, emotions, and deeds are shifting energy in the quantum field, which I told you exists as a quantum soup, and the different energies are going to come together to create your future events. So that is the energy of the card of justice. And then this brings us to a pretty interesting card. This card is called the Hanged Man. But if you look really carefully, he's not hanging by the neck. He's hanging by the foot. He actually looks quite comfortable. There's even a halo around his head. So the primary meaning of this card is sacrifice. Firstly, let's understand why this upside down. With this upside down, what is happening? Basically, the heart now is above the head. The head is our place and space of ego. Heart is our inner voice, our consciousness, our soul, our witness point. There are different ways of describing this. So what has actually happened here is, with the heart going above the head, the perspective shifts, the perspective changes. And that then creates a different approach to life. He's being able to view life from a different perspective. And let me give you an example. It's like saying a high-powered corporate honcho one fine day gives up his job to go become an artist. The pay may be much less, the perks and the power may not be that much, but the soul satisfaction and the other growth that will come through would be different. That's a perspective of the Hanged Man. Say a working woman gives up her job to look after a new baby. That's also a hangman energy. So it is a card of sacrifice, but willing sacrifice, where because you're somewhere seeing the larger picture, you are willing to give up something, you're willing to put something that you desire on hold because you're taking care of, or you're seeing the larger picture, keeping the larger visual, the larger canvas in mind. And when you end up functioning like that, you actually end up somewhere going into a place of surrender. You know, when we talk spiritual, we always talk of the word surrender. Surrender is almost somewhere the hardest thing to do, because surrender somewhere requires the ultimate faith, whether it's in the divine or in the unfoldment of events. And it can only happen when the ego is finally put out of the way. So this card carries very paradoxical energies, which basically say that we control by letting go, we move forward by standing still, we allow the ego to take a back seat. And you know, in the last so many years, I think our primary learning has been one of the ego. It's all been about the power-centered life that a lot of us were trained to look at and work with. But this is a card which says we win, not always, in the right circumstances, at the right time. We win by surrendering. This card can also talk about a pause in life. And, a time when you're feeling almost in a state of suspension. You're feeling like a pendulum. You're just hanging in there. Life is hanging fire. Things are not moving as fast as they want them to. They're not necessarily going in the direction that you want them to. And the learning of this card is, in some of those times, it's time to just almost be passive, see the different ways of looking at the situation that you're in. And by viewing things differently, a lot of soul growth happens. So there will be times when, to force our will on someone is when we most want to have our own way, is when we need to sacrifice. Sometimes it's almost about making contradictory moves. We find what we are looking for Somewhere there's a message of independence here also. It's about being who you are, regardless of the fact that others may think you've got it backwards. Why are you giving up such a plush position? Why are you XYZ? It symbolizes the feeling of being just deeply connected to life because you're functioning at a deeper level, you're understanding things at a deeper level, you're willing to be in a state of allowance. It doesn't mean you're giving your power away. Somewhere you're actually gaining more spiritual strength and spiritual power. And this can also then refer to the peace that comes after a trial of some sort. So there's a tremendous patience, spiritual awareness, developing the Zen-like ability of just going with the flow, living in the here and now, focusing on the present and what it is teaching you, accepting the changes, accepting being in a state of limbo, and surrendering. So it's a paradoxical card, because the best approach to a problem may not always be the most obvious. And when we most want to force our will, when we most want to push something, sometimes it's just better to be in a state of allowance. Allow somebody to be the way they need to be, to function the way they want to. Don't try controlling things. It's a time of sacrifice. So it's a beautiful card. As I said, tremendous soul growth happens when we are able to function like this. It's not about turning into a martyr, not at all, because the martyr energy comes in when you end up feeling you're being forced to be a certain way. Maybe feeling you're being forced to be in a state of surrender, a state of limbo, a state of flow. This is when it comes from a state of higher perception, higher understanding, higher knowledge, and there's a willingness involved. So that was the Hangman. And okay, now let's come to what is possibly the most feared card in the tarot deck, the card of death. Every time I'm doing cards and every time this shows up, I see people's eyes going wide. And they probably, they get palpitations. And no matter what I say, 9 times out of 10, somebody has just seen the death card and they go away with this fear saying, oh my God, someone's going to die. Something's going to happen. That is not what this card is about. It's an aspect of the card, but primarily this is a card of transformation. In this card, of course, we face our deepest fear, our greatest unknown, and our greatest fear is death. So this is really a card that talks of transformation that comes from some sweeping changes that have happened or are happening in your life, where something is being cut off. It could be a job, it could be a relationship, maybe there's a divorce, failure, some situation not working out the way you expected. But basically, the energy of this card is when that happens, it's irrevocable. So it leaves you changed on a soul level forever. Meaning you'll never go back to being the same person you were before you experienced whatever it is the energy of this card is bringing in. It's all, see, on a material level, and when I use the word material, I mean physical in terms of everyday life, doing, experiencing. I don't mean money. On a material level, it's always a difficult card. Because as human beings, we're always fighting change. Even though we all know change is a way of life, it is nature's way. And to understand that everything is in a constant state of change. See, people, jobs, relationships, all go through changes. Civilizations change, they finish, they fade away into history. And then there's a regeneration. There are inexorable forces which are part of nature's design. So this is again a karmic card telling you of a situation that cannot be avoided simply because it is time on a soul level for you to undergo that change, and to undergo that change because you're actually you're ready to move on to the next level of your soul growth. So on a soul level, it's always considered a pretty wonderful card. As I said, materially, I mean, going through the process is never an easy one. it's about transformation rather than death. It's the end of an era, just a moment when one door closes, and we need to know that when one door closes, another will open. This is a card telling you that what is unnecessary, what doesn't serve you anymore, where there are no further learnings left for you to do on a soul level, is going to be cut away from your life through loss of some kind. And yes, sometimes it does talk of someone passing away from your life as well, but that is not what it means each time that it comes up. So this card reminds you that it's important to cut away what is unnecessary. And the best approach whenever this card comes up is to be in a state of acceptance, is to just ride your fate and see where it takes you. This is almost Yamraj sitting on this horse. The horse and the rose represent purity. This also talks of the Grim Reaper. So there's a river of blood which is flowing. You may not be able to see that too clearly over here, denoting that life will go on. There is a force, there's a flow. The rising sun here talks of rebirth and renewal, and the fact that there is unity, there is eternity. Rivers all lead to the sea. So all of us in death, we move back into a state of wholeness, actually, into eternity, into formlessness and oneness of the universe flowing into eternity. And the other thing, if you really look at this card, it tells us, see, change, the ultimate change, death, spares no one. Whether you're a king, whether you're a commoner, whether you're a man, woman, child, holy man, death is going to strike everyone. These figures represent the different approaches that you can have to death and dying. The king, I think, is down here. There's a complete refusal. The ego doesn't allow it. And so what happens? He's in the direct line of fire and he just gets swept away by the current if there's a refusal to change. This young woman is sort of facing there, but her is kneeling towards it, but her face is turned away. So there's a partial acceptance. She wants to accept the change, but her ego is resisting again, as she is convinced she'll be destroyed if she does. There's a child here who's innocent and is almost just looking on it as something passing by. So when there's an innocence, there's an acceptance. The bishop here has spiritual beliefs that are a support to him as he faces death. So basically, this is a card of death of the old self, birth of the new. And life is eternal, always present in its essence is death. If not in its form, it's present in the inherent growth, the movement, and life which must go on in order to give birth to something new. Individual forms are always dying while others come into existence without death to clear away the old. See, even to plant new seeds in the earth, it needs to be completely plowed up. So I think one of the greatest learnings, in fact, I think this was a question I've gotten asked really often, that being, on this path of conscious awareness, spirituality, tarot, and with everything I do, what has it done for you? And my answer normally is, I think the biggest thing is the acceptance of death, of near and dear ones as well. It kind of helps you understand, helps you integrate, and helps you move on with life. So that is the death card. We'll do one more card. Or no, maybe I think it's we'll get down now to doing the readings, I think. Yes, I don't have that much time. So let's take a look at the questions. Who wants to know what? All right. Hi, everyone. So somebody is asking, Swati's asking, do my in-laws, what problem do they have with me and my sister-in-law too? Can it affect my relationship with my husband? Okay. Wow, there are 3 questions here. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at your in-laws' reaction to money. I don't think that's something you need to worry about. It's they seem to be pretty, I don't want to use the word well off, but pretty much in a state of abundance where they have all they need and they seem to be happy with what they have. What is the problem they have with you? Okay, let's see if we can get an answer to that. Okay, so perhaps I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but maybe they need you to be a little less outspoken around them. And it's wise to hold your counsel sometimes. It's not important that each time we have a thought, we must make it known to everyone. I think, you're feeling a sense of insecurity, but I think it has more to do between you and your husband. So what you need to do is focus on your immediate relationship and equation, communication with your husband. And you must understand that your husband was first their son and a brother to your sister-in-law. You need to allow them their individual equations. Your coming into the picture cannot and should not affect his individual relationship with his parents and with his sister. Allow them to be. Do not tell your husband how to be with them. And I wouldn't worry if I was you. The cards are, oh wow, lovely cards. The cards are just saying, if you understand this and you function from a place of allowance, and somewhere, since you're the one who's come into the family, you need to fit in with how their family functions. No two families are the same. Yours would have been different. So go with the flow. Try to fit in, and let me see what guidance is coming up here for you. All right. So you've drawn a lovely card saying victory, exactly what I said to you. You don't need to worry, and stay optimistic. Stay optimistic. Things will be fine. The guidance exactly is this. Keep your relationship between you and your husband and allow him to have his one-on-one relationships with them. And I wouldn't worry about the money aspect. All right? All right. So someone's asking, or she's asking, what is my soul connection with my mother? Let's see what the cards say with that. Okay. So you do seem to be a little stressed out on that front. And what you really need to work through is, you'll both seem to function independent of each other. So if you were to make I won't say the first move, make a few moves to trying to be there for her mentally, emotionally, physically, in as much as you can, there is a gap you need to bridge. Both of you end up feeling shut out, shut away from each other. So communication, make the first step towards bridging this gap, if you will, that there is, and I think you'll get there. Don't focus on the struggles. Don't focus on the fact that you haven't been supported, because I think somewhere your mother feels the same, that maybe she needs a little more engagement from you. That's what's come up here. All right, so who else? So someone's asking, if somebody gets a hangman in his or her reading, then is he juggling between mind and heart? A lot would depend on the position of the card, and a lot would depend, I read reverse cards as well, so a lot would depend on whether it's come up upright or, or ulta. But I wouldn't call it a juggle so much. Mind and heart, well, he's not juggling. He's either flowing consciously or feeling like he's being forced to be a certain way. It's not like he's trying to take a decision saying, should I be like this or should I be like that? That's the energy of the hangman. All right. So Simone wants to know why my ex left me and if we will get back or if there's someone else out there for me. All right. Why did my ex leave me? This is Simone. Ex leave me. I somehow feel it didn't have so much to do with you as, sorry, as with what was going on with him. He was just going through a rough time himself. There was a lot of confusion in his mind. There were a lot of things that were not in place in his life when he was seeing you. And he was actually quite torn before taking this decision. And this was almost like a cop-out. It was like, okay, one less responsibility, one less thing to do. And he was just not feeling right about things. He was in a very lost place himself. I don't think it had so much to do with you personally. And yes, absolutely, there is someone out there for you, and it will happen. So, all right, there's somebody from Brazil. Okay, someone here wants to start a career as a storyteller. What are the chances of getting success? Vatsala. All right, let's take a look. How this is going to go for you. So you seem to have a lot to say. I think you have a lot of stories which you've either already penned down or you have ready in your head. You're going to enjoy the process tremendously. What I want to say to you is don't give up, because you may not get that success as soon as you're looking for it. And then if you end up going into a place where you're worried and you hold back from publishing or writing, because I think you're going to make a breakthrough. You absolutely will. So that was a good card. So Anita wants to know business, job, or an artist. What is good? All right. Not business for sure. A job would be wonderful, and I think you'll get something really good, and you'll love being an artist. But between all three, I think a job is the best, and the art is something you can always pursue on the side. All right, so someone's asking, will Vinod's wife come back? All right, let's see what this is. Vinod's wife come back. I think he wants her to. He'll make it happen. She will. She will. Raphael wants to know. I don't know what you want to know about your love life, Raphael. If you could make that specific. All right, so Mehek is asking, when will I conceive? Let's take a look at that. It's sooner than you think. I think within the next 2 months. So Hiran Patel says, I'm dating someone. Will we end up together in the future? Now, I don't know whether you meant marriage or you just meant together long term. Let's take a look. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. Lovely cards. At the moment, she may not be sort of willing to make the commitment, but she's going to. She's going to. Lovely cards. You will end up together. Right. What are the questions? So, Raphael, let me take a look. I'll take a look at the guidance for your love life since you haven't asked a specific question. Yeah, let's see what your guidance is. Okay. So what your cards are saying is that you possibly end up too open, and you need to shield yourself and take care of your own interests as well. You seem to be feeling a little lost where the love life is concerned. If you've been having a problem with someone, this is your guidance coming up, peace offering. So whether this is with an ex or whether this is somebody you're seeing right now, you need to somewhere set boundaries between both of you and bring clarity in terms of what works for you and how best you'd like to make it work. So Poonam is asking, when will my son get married? Okay. When will my son get married? So within this next 6 months, I think an opportunity will come up, and this may also, you might end up actually introducing him to someone. This is more about arranged stuff. Post that, things go into a bit of a loop. 1 year. If it doesn't happen in the next 6 months, then it's going to take about 2.5 to 3 years. But the next 6 months is a good opportunity. Jaspreet wants to know, will my husband come for a reconciliation? All right, with me in life, will we live together happily again? All right, Jaspreet. Jaspreet, right now, as I said, things seem to be moving pretty fine for him, but you completely have it within your power to make it happen. I'm not saying it'll happen easily, but please do keep in touch, keep in communication. It's a bit of a struggle. It's going to be a long road. And for a while, you may think that there's no response coming. It might even take up to 3 years, but we just talked about the Justice card. And this has come up saying, it's come up upright saying it's happened. He's meant to come back. So good luck with that. And all right, so I think I'll make this the last question now. Anjali's asking, Swati, I read for you, whatever your question was. Anjali's asking, when will my brother get married? Three years. After 2.5 years, between 2.5 to 3 years is when your brother will get married. All right. So Hiran, you want to know about your son, whether the advertising is a good way for him. Okay, let me take a look. You know, it might be a little too early. The cards are saying I wouldn't recommend it. It's going to get physically too much for him to handle at this point. And it will, no, I'd say wait. this is not the time. This is not the time. At a later stage, when he's a little older, I still see the offers coming. Don't do it now. Okay. So, who's asking if there's a third party involved? Smoothie, okay. Maybe not in a serious way, but he seems to be open to it. That's what's come up. So before we close, I'm going to actually pull a guidance card for all of you. Let's see what comes up. All right, that's lovely. This is a card which says, a place beyond time. Do not get so caught up with the everyday drama of life. Close your eyes, focus on your breath, and allow it to carry you into a peaceful space inside your heart, an eternal place beyond time, filled only with love. So this was a general reading for all of you who have been listening in. Basically, this is a card saying function from your heart. Don't get so caught up with what's happening out there, because finally, it's really all about what's in there. And that's the whole journey. So with that, I'm going to say bye to you all this evening. Have a lovely evening. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time. Bye and good night.